Alright, so to begin today's tutorial, first things first is we need to move this cup out of our way, because when we work in Grasshopper, we're going to work right where this cup is, at the absolute origin, which is the 0, 0, 0 point, which we discussed a little bit yesterday. So everybody go ahead and click your cup, and you should still have the gumball on. You can click once on the red arrow, and let's just type in 10 and move it over 10 inches. Now if everything didn't go with it, make sure you highlight and select everything. If everything didn't go with it, do Control Z to go back, and make sure you select everything. And click the red arrow, and let's move it over 10. Okay, so some people are having a little bit of difficulty figuring out how to select everything at once. So I'm going to go over that real quick. If you click and drag a window from left to right, it's only going to select what's completely in the window. So for instance, I'll go into right view, and even though I'm putting the cursor and the window over the surface, because I'm going from left to right, it's only selecting the curve because I grab the curve in the entire window, like that. Now if you go from right to left, whatever is touching this dashed box here is going to be selected. So it's a good way to, if you just wanted to select the bottom, you could go from left to right, and look, I just grabbed only that curve. But let's say you wanted to grab everything, I could just go like this, half the cup, and I actually happen to have everything there. So that's the easiest way to select things. That's the basic selection method. Okay, so now that that is moved out of the way, everybody let's type in Grasshopper. Let's let that load up. Okay. Now, a smart first thing to do is it opens up kind of in a nice default spot. Something to really take note is you want it to be about half your screen of your Rhino screen, so that way you can still view what's going on here. So let's say, for instance, I'm in top view and I want to see what I'm doing. You can have both easily viewable. I would avoid clicking the minimize. What it does is it takes your Grasshopper and it puts it in the bottom corner, and that's not very helpful. If you need to get Grasshopper out of your way and you want to just view Rhino, what you're going to do is double click on the top here. So right up here, if you double click, it closes Grasshopper for you and it leaves it in place. So that'll allow you to view your whole screen. You could open up, double click to open up perspective, and maybe you want to shift over a little bit, holding shift and right click, and there we are. So let's everybody get sort of to this point right here. Okay, so with Grasshopper, and Kevin touched on this yesterday, I'm going to go over it again because this is the foundation of what Grasshopper is. You have inputs, you have components, and you have outputs. So your inputs are like ingredients, right? They're all the different pieces of the puzzle that you essentially put together, blend together, and then it creates an output. The best way to think about it is, and I actually got this from Iggy because he had the best way of explaining this, and I thought it was hilarious. Take a margarita, for instance. A margarita has multiple ingredients. It has ice, it has tequila, right? Might have triple sec in it, some other kinds of ingredients. All those things divided are their own inputs, right? So they're their own ingredients. You take all those things and you put them in a blender, you blend them together, and then your result is a margarita. Now the margarita is your output. So you have a bunch of ingredients that you then mix together, and then you get an output. Now that's just a really simple way to describe it. It can get more complex than that. Another thing that Kevin brought up was the idea of constructing and then deconstructing and reconstructing again. And that's that cyclical ideology where basically you keep sort of going around in circles, and you create something and then you break it down and then you create something new again. Another example, and Iggy told me this one too as well, is if you're going to make a pizza, right? The first thing you got to do is you need dough, right? But what is dough? Dough is made of is made of flour, right? And it has a bunch of other ingredients, right? You mix those things together in a blender or a mixer, and you get dough. So dough is your output. But then you can take the dough and you can roll the dough, flatten the dough out, and you can start to add more ingredients to the dough, and then once you bake it, now you have a pizza. So that's that cyclical ideology right there, where you construct something and then you take that thing you constructed and you can deconstruct it, and then you can reconstruct it again. And this is all through inputs and outputs. So a really simple way to say it is inputs have values, and so do outputs. Everything has values. Okay, so I'm going to go over just the Grasshopper interface a little bit more. You have the same pull downs here, like Rhino, with the file, edit, view, display, some similar things here. So those may be a little bit, just recognizable. Now, what's a lot different about this is this right here. Now in Rhino, you have the ability to move around, have objects, see the 3D model. Here, this area is considered a canvas. It's the location where you're going to build and create your definitions. So think about it as small little pieces, ingredients that you're going to place on here, and this is where you're going to make your final results. Next, we can look at the menus right here. You can see that there's a whole bunch of them here. Parameters, math. So math can be a large component of this program. You have sets, vectors, and then look, here's some familiar things. You got curves and surfaces, which we'll be using today, and so on and so forth. They keep going down. These things down here get very complicated. We don't have to worry about that today. We're definitely going to be using parameters, vectors, curves, and surfaces today, and so we'll get your feet wet a little bit in using this program. Now the next thing, if you click on parameter, you notice these black bars down here. These black bars, they allow you can actually click on those, and it shows you all these components or all these inputs, and it shows you some more. So there's a few basic ones here on top, but if you click this, it opens up a whole field of more things there, and you can see how they all do that, and they do that everywhere. You can see that things just get more and more options everywhere. So one thing to note is this line right here works for this. It's a display option. So over here in this corner, I'll show you once we get some components down here what these are. But you can see right here, you preview the quality of what you're doing, and yeah. Okay, so we got it set on the screen. I've kind of gone over a little bit, just very lightly touched on the layout, and so it's been about 10 minutes. I'm going to stop this video.